everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest. Tonight I just got back from watching Godzilla -1, the Toho Japanese film, which means yes, I actually watched a movie in theaters that had subtitles, which I don't know, maybe only one other time has that ever happened for me. I know I'm a horrible moviegoer, but anyways, yeah, I gotta say I had a fantastic time. This is easily one of my favorite Godzilla movies. Not that I've been an expert at Godzilla at any point. I definitely want to do a marathon of like all the Godzillas at some point, but I have to imagine that this is easily going to be like in the top 5 conversation somewhere, because this one brings it back to basics of like, it feels like classic Godzilla, and it's got everything from the 1940s post-war Japan setting to simply Godzilla feels like a force of nature. He feels like he's an animal, and he feels mythological and symbolic, and he's not like just evil, but he is like, he's doing what he wants, you know what I mean? And he's not like this superhero who's here to protect humanity against other monsters, which obviously that Godzilla has its place, and this has been like the classic trajectory of Godzilla. He started off as the antagonist of the movie, the force of nature that the humans were just trying to survive Godzilla happening. And then he slowly over time, in classic Toho movies, he became a hero of the people, protecting humans against the other kaiju, right? But this is just bringing it all the way back to where he's just this natural disaster that is happening, and it feels epic, and it feels grounded in a way that I don't think the Godzilla movies have in a while, to where like we're seeing like when the humans are shooting at Godzilla and throwing bombs at him and everything's exploding, like, we've seen Godzilla fall down a whole lot, right? Like in every Godzilla movie he has like a period where he lost against the other monster and he has to get back up. But it feels like I've never really seen Godzilla take damage like this before, where like it looks like he's temporarily dead and then like he has the Wolverine healing factor and we just see it in full effect come all the way back, and then he's back, right? And it just feels like it's grounded in a way where you do believe, like, okay, so 1950s Japan, they can do damage to him. I don't know if they can kill him, but they can at least, like, their World War II level artillery can still damage him. Whereas I think in some of the more modern Godzillas of like, the legendary MonsterVerse pictures, like, it feels like you gotta have like future technology to defeat that Godzilla, but anyways, and also the human element of this movie, and this is what it's been getting praised for like the most, and they were not exaggerating. You genuinely care about the humans and their story, and you want them to live, and then when something happens you're like, no, like you're right there on screen, and like with the rest of it you're like, no, I can't believe that just happened. And yeah, that's just something that is so lacking in the in the MonsterVerse version of Godzilla, in the MonsterVerse, where typically, like, we just had that trailer for the new Empire, Godzilla X Kong, right? Like, we just had that new trailer, and I mentioned there where it's like, you don't really care about the humans at all. Like, which human characters are returning? Do you care? Do you really care? No, not really. Like, Godzilla and Kong are like the stars. Those are the main characters of those movies. Whereas here, we do have human characters that we care about. And if they do end up making a sequel to this one, which they could, they do leave it on that kind of like classic, like, oh, he's not quite dead yet, dun dun dun, I do want these humans to return, and I want their story to continue, because like you get this crew together, you have your central found family who you very quickly care about, and then on top of that you get like this group of friends, and they all have my fiance pointed out, like, they have a Jaws moment where like the entire town comes together and they try to discuss what they want to do, and they come up with a plan, and it's very much that scene from Jaws, you know. It's exactly that. And so you just, I don't know, it's funny that like it's such a novel concept in a Godzilla movie where like instead of Godzilla being the protagonist that you care about, what if it was a human? And other movies have tried this, you know, like we've had plenty of like Godzilla movies that have tried to do this, and for whatever reason it just never seems to work out, you know. But here it totally worked. And you know, you can feel at times that this one was made on somewhat of a budget. I want to say I had seen somewhere it was like 15 million. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. I have no way of knowing if that's true. I'll have to go look that up later. But my point is, this is definitely not like the 200 million Hollywood film, right? Like you can see some parts where like, you know, the CG isn't quite there, or they're definitely like using some puppetry at some parts, I think. But it works, you know. If anything, it kind of just furthers that classic Godzilla feel of like, yeah, I believe that this kind of is a true remake of that classic Godzilla movie, the 50s movie. Even the way he moves at times, because sometimes he moves like an aggressive, like actual monster that's just here to lash out. But then other times when they have him walking, his arms are like close to his sides, and it's almost like back in the day when it was like a guy and a puppet, you know, like the arms are real small, so they're like close to the sides and they're not moving. His elbows are tucked in, you know, like he moves like that sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're just fully invoking imagery that you, even if you've never watched those classic movies like me, like you know through cultural osmosis what the old Godzilla looked like, you know, and like they're just fully invoking that while still making Godzilla scary. You know, every time he shows up, it genuinely feels like, oh god, what's he gonna do now? And of course, like you always got to do, you got to have like a new take on the atomic breath. What's the atomic breath look like? How does he move? How does he swim? So some of this imagery does feel familiar, like when he swims and the spikes are coming out of the water and you just see, you know, almost like a shark fin. Like we've seen that a lot recently in modern Godzilla takes, and they do that here. But his atomic breath is cool. You know, we've had a lot of different takes on the atomic breath, and this one I thought was really awesome. You know, it's just like the spikes individually like kind of jut out as he gets powered up, like they actually extend outwards, so the spikes become bigger and they glow blue, and then it's like a quick beam and then mushroom cloud effect explosion, you know. So like it's like a genuine like nuclear explosion that he's setting off. So pretty cool there. But yeah, just overall, I had a great time with this movie, you know. And I know, you know, because people can't just have two things, they gotta like say, no, this is how it should be, you know. It's Andor all over again, you know. Where like there are people online already saying like, well, the American Godzilla and Kong movies, they're stupid, they're just dumb action movies, you know, it's just monsters fighting each other. Which, again, that's what the Toho movies eventually became anyways. Like they're just paying the Godzilla Kong movies where they're just two monsters teaming up to fight another monster. That is also classic Godzilla, you know, like that's what Godzilla became all through the 60s and 70s. So while this one is paying homage to the original film, where, you know, it's much more grounded, much more like, oh, he's a serious threat, kind of like this symbolic force of nature of post-war Japan, and, you know, all the complicated things that means. You can also have your essentially big wrestling match between, you know, monsters, right? So like there's room enough for both. I know people have already started this like, oh, this is what Godzilla should be, you know, like, oh, we can do both things. Yeah, we are doing both things. Look, this one's in theaters and we just got a trailer for the other one. We're doing both. It's fine. But anyways, yeah, just I had a really good time with this one, and I definitely want to go check out more of those classic Godzilla films now. You know, I'm not expecting it to look like this, you know. Obviously we're gonna have to go back to, you know, guy in puppet costume, you know, giant mascots fighting each other. But, you know, I am curious to see the trajectory of like when it goes from what it originally was meant to be, to Godzilla's fighting other monsters, and then slowly it turns into Godzilla is a superhero, essentially, like saving humanity. And then you know, and now you have the American movies, you know, so like Godzilla's been a lot of things, and I think it's cool to see like different depictions like this. Like that's how this creature slash character, you know, he's kind of been both, survives for what they say 70 years now. Jeez, 70 years. But yeah, just it was a really, really well done movie. I hope more people check it out. And yeah, I think Godzilla's just having a moment. I need to go check out the Monarch show. It's on Apple. I've heard good things. I don't have Apple TV, but you know, I watched this. I saw that trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong. I need to go check out that Monarch show at some point. So yeah, just I'm all in on Godzilla. All they need to do right now is I don't know what, release a new video game or something. Like how do you keep the Godzilla train going until the next movie comes out? I don't know. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Godzilla -1, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.